So you think seeing is simple, right? I mean, you just open your eyes and poof, the world is just there. But what if I told you that's not what's happening at all? What if your brain is actually constructing your reality piece by piece every single second? It's an incredible trick, and we're going to break down exactly how it pulls it off.
Yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? How does a simple flash of light, literally just a stream of particles, turn into, well, this? The room you're in, the screen you're looking at, the faces of people you know. We're going to follow that journey step by step, from a photon hitting your eye all the way to the rich, complex world your brain builds for you.
Okay, so let's start with vision's grand design, the brain's master plan for seeing. Here's the wild part. Before a single photon even gets to your eye, your brain has already laid out a brilliant strategy for what to do with it. It's this incredibly organized system built on 3 key principles that lets it handle the flood of information without breaking a sweat.
First up is the principle of hierarchy. And honestly, the best way to think about this is like an assembly line. See, vision isn't one big event. It's a process, step by step. It starts super simple, right in the retina, with just basic stuff like light and dark. Then that info gets shipped off to the brain's first big hub, the primary visual cortex, or V1, which starts spotting basic edges and motion. Then it gets passed along to other specialists for color and form, until finally the top-level managers in the brain put it all together and say, hey, that's a face or that's a coffee cup.
Next, we have the principle of functional segregation. You know how you wouldn't ask a plumber to fix your Wi-Fi? The brain works the same way. It delegates tasks. Instead of one part trying to do everything, it's got a whole team of specialists. So you've got one region, V4, that's the color expert. Another one, V5, is the motion guru. And another is the object recognition pro. It's this beautiful, efficient division of labor.
But here's where it gets really cool. Even with all these different specialists, the brain isn't just doing one thing at a time. It's a master of parallel processing. So imagine you're watching a bird fly by. 2 informational superhighways are firing at the exact same time. One, the what pathway, is figuring out, okay, that's a bird. Meanwhile, the where pathway is tracking exactly where it is and how it's moving. It's not one then the other, it's all happening simultaneously. It's incredible.
All right, section 2, the journey into the eye, from light to image. So we've got the brain's master plan. Now let's rewind all the way to the beginning and follow the light itself. And for this part, just think of the eye as this super advanced biological camera designed to capture the raw data that the brain's going to work its magic on.
So what's the raw ingredient for all of this? It's light. Now, light feels like it's everywhere, right? But what we can actually see is just this teeny tiny sliver of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, think about it. Out of all that energy, from radio waves to gamma rays, our eyes evolved to detect just this one little band. And within that band, the different wavelengths are what our brain ultimately translates into every color you've ever seen.
So, how does the eye actually grab this light? Well, it's a 4-step journey. First, light hits the cornea, the clear outer layer, which does the initial focusing. Then, it passes through your pupil. That's the little black dot that gets bigger or smaller to control how much light gets in, just like the aperture on a camera. After that, the lens does all the fine-tuning, changing its shape to get that light focused perfectly on the target at the very back of the eye, the retina.
Okay, part 3, from light into signal, the retina's crucial moment. We've made it to the retina, and folks, this is where the real magic happens. Seriously, the retina isn't just some passive movie screen, it's the translator. It's where the physical world of light gets converted into the electrical language of the brain. This is the moment that makes everything else possible.
So what is the retina? It's this incredibly complex, paper-thin layer of tissue at the back of your eye. And its main job, its whole purpose, is to perform something called transduction. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's really just a fancy way of saying it converts one type of energy into another. In this case, it's taking the pure energy of light and turning it into the electrical signals, the language the brain can actually use.
And who are the little workers doing this amazing conversion?
Well, you've got 2 types of specialized cells called photoreceptors.
Let's meet the team. First, you've got the rods. Think of these as your night vision specialists. They're super sensitive to dim light, but they don't see in color. Then you have the cones. These are your daytime high-definition full-color specialists. They need a lot of light to work, but they're what give us our sharp, detailed color vision, especially in the very center of our gaze.
So this entire process, this chemical and electrical chain reaction, is what we call visual transduction. And it's really like a microscopic domino effect. I mean, a single particle of light, a photon, hits a special molecule inside one of those rods or cones, and it sets off a whole chain reaction. That reaction literally changes the cell's electrical charge, creating the very first flicker of a neural signal. That tiny spark, that's the birth of sight.
All right, next up, the brain's visual highway, from eye to mind. The signal has been created. Now it's got to get to headquarters. So we're leaving the eye as a camera idea behind and moving on to the brain as a supercomputer. This part is all about the massive neural highway that zips that visual info from the retina right to the brain's processing centers.
Now, the main route here has a super technical name, the geniculus striate pathway. Don't worry about the name. All you really need to know is that this is the main superhighway for pretty much everything you consciously see. The signals shoot out of the retina, through the optic nerve, make a quick pit stop at a crucial relay station deep in the brain called the LGN, and from there they're sent straight to the main event, at the back of your brain, the primary visual cortex, or V1. This pathway is the MVP of your conscious vision.
Section 5. When vision breaks down. Glimpses into a disrupted world. You know, sometimes the best way to appreciate how incredibly complex something is to see what happens when it breaks. And by looking at these strange cases of visual deficits, we get this amazing glimpse into just how many things have to go perfectly right for you to just see.
One of the biggest threats to this whole system is something called anoxia. Basically, a severe lack of oxygen to the brain. Now, all your brain cells need oxygen, but the visual cortex, it's especially thirsty. It's an energy hog. And even a tiny interruption in its oxygen supply can cause irreversible damage, leading to all sorts of vision problems or even complete cortical blindness.
Okay, check out this quote. It's the thing you write with. Now, I want you to imagine this for a second. You're looking at a pen. You see it perfectly. You can describe its color, its shape. You absolutely know what it's for. You can even pick it up and pretend to write with it. But when someone asks you what it's called, the word pen is just gone. You can't find it. So you say something like, it's the thing you write with.
This bizarre disconnect has a name, optic aphasia. And what's so fascinating is that it's not a problem with vision, and it's not a problem with knowledge. It's a broken link. It's a disconnect between the part of the brain that sees the object and the part of the brain that names the object. It's just incredible proof that seeing something and naming it are two totally different jobs in the brain. All right, prepare to have your mind bent a little. Here's a question for you. Can you see something without knowing you see it? I mean, is it possible for your brain to see and react to something in the world while you, your conscious self, have absolutely no idea it's even there?
Well, the answer is yes, and it's a real phenomenon called blind sight. It can happen when a person's primary visual cortex, that V1 area we talked about, is damaged. They are, for all intents and purposes, consciously blind in a part of their vision. But here's the crazy part. If you flash a light in their blind spot and ask them to guess where it was, they can often point right to it, and they'll swear up and down they saw nothing. How? Because there are other, older, more primitive visual pathways that are still working, processing info completely under the radar of their conscious mind.
So, when you put this all together, what does it mean? It means our visual reality is not what we think it is. It isn't a simple photograph. Your eyes aren't just windows. What you see is an active, complex, moment-by-moment construction project built from the ground up by this incredible network inside your brain.
And this leaves us with one last really deep question to chew on. If you can see without being aware of it, what is vision, really? I mean, think about it. Cases like blindsight just force us to rethink everything. Is seeing just the light hitting your eye? Is it the electrical signal firing in your brain? Or does it only count if you have that final conscious experience of it? It's a lot to think about.